I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And the case continues down in Fairfax County, Virginia. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. This is a case of, and usually I say a trial is a search for the truth. In this one, I really think the trial is more so a search for the liars, because both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are accusing each other of lying. That's what the case is all about. But who is the real liar? Is Amber lying about Johnny abusing her? Is Amber lying about Johnny lying about her? I mean, it gets real confusing if you really dive deep into it. The bottom line, though, when we look at this relationship and what we've learned by listening to the testimony, seeing the evidence, is that there absolutely was violence in this relationship. We've seen the proof, right? We've seen the proof. We've heard the testimony back and forth about violence and arguments, and it was not a great relationship. It really wasn't. The way it's really been described is kind of like this roller coaster that goes really high and then comes crashing down really fast. But still, the jury's got to figure this all out, right? They've got to figure out what is the truth in all of this. You know, because Johnny says, I never hit Amber. I've never hit any woman. And Amber says, well, I never hit Johnny, and he beat me up all the time. For years. For years. Not only beat her up, she claims that she's been sexually assaulted more than once by Johnny Depp. So, way different stories here. So during Johnny Depp's case, we heard from some independent witnesses, right? Because if you're trying to figure out who's telling the truth, Johnny or Amber, you got to listen to what is everybody else saying. Well, Johnny called to the stand his best friend, his bodyguard, Johnny's boys, and from their testimony, which came first, you listen to their testimony, and then you're like, okay, well, it's sort of, you know, consistent with Johnny's testimony. And then Amber testified. She was one of the first witnesses in her own case, and you're like, well, we're listening, Amber, but nobody else is saying what you're saying. It's, you know, we heard from Johnny, then we heard from people who were in that house, people that were in your circle, and none of them, including police officers, no one is seeing this violence, this unbelievable violence that you are describing you were a victim of. Well, today was a different day. Today was what I call friends and family of Amber Heard coming into court, and these are people who live there as well. Like Johnny's friend Ike lived in those penthouses in LA, but so did Amber's friends and family. They all kind of moved in, and take what you want from that. They all absolutely agree. Johnny Depp, extremely generous person, extremely generous, but they all lived there, so they got to see things. And one of the most important witnesses, who's kind of in the middle of all this, is little sister. And I say little sis because it's Amber's actual younger sister, and Johnny used to refer to her as little sis. So this is someone who was very close, obviously, to her sister, and at one point very close to Johnny Depp as well. And she testified today. And the jury got a much different look at what was happening from her than they did from the witnesses called by Johnny Depp. Take a listen.
Please continue. They're saying horrible things to one another. You know, he's calling her a used up trash bag, you know, whatever. They were saying horrible things to one another. She was calling him old and fat. It was a fight. They were saying really nasty things to one another. I leave them in the kitchen to go up the stairs. I was trying to calm Amber down, hopefully get her back into my apartment. And Debbie had come up with me.
And Debbie, who's Debbie?
Debbie was his nurse at the time.
Debbie Lloyd?
Yes, I believe that was her name.
Okay.
So we're with Amber on the mezzanine level.
I'm sorry, just so we know who where is. Is it you and Debbie that are with Amber, or is it?
Yes, Debbie, Amber, and I are all in the little mezzanine area. And as I mentioned, the mezzanine overlooks the kitchen and the living room. So Johnny then hurls a Red Bull can and it hits Debbie in the back. She didn't even react. She didn't really seem to notice. But I'm standing up there talking, or I'm standing up there, I'm at the top of the stairs with my back to the stairs. And that's when Johnny runs up the stairs. And again, I'm facing Amber. He comes up behind me, strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister." She smacks him, lands one. And then he grabs, at that point, that's when Travis runs up the stairs after Amber landed one. But by that time, Johnny had already grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was whacking her repeatedly in the face with the other as I was standing there. Travis pulls them apart. I get Amber into mine. I close the doors behind me and lock them. I then hear Johnny's voice shouting.
Never mind, withdraw. Okay, sorry.
I hear Johnny's voice shouting, I hate you. I hate you both. You. And I hear crashing. I hear crashing and banging and smashing, and he starts screaming like an animal. And I then just moved Amber into the next room, and I just kept her there all night. The next day, I go, and I see her closet has been completely destroyed.
That is a violence. Not only is she saying that Johnny Depp hit her sister, that she got hit by Johnny Depp. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, joining us live outside the courthouse in Fairfax, Virginia, in the courtroom for all of this. Chanley, what about the cross-examination of Amber's sister, Whitney?
Well, it was nothing too fiery, but some points were scored for Depp's team on cross-examination, trying to elicit the fact that it's her sister and there may be some sort of bias there possibly to want to testify favorably for her sister in that moment. And, you know, she talks about the fact that she witnessed Amber hitting Johnny Depp, and that was good, of course, for Johnny Depp's team, but also the fact that Johnny Depp hit her first. And so this was the only instance, though, in the years that she was, quote unquote, their marriage counselor, that she witnessed physical violence between the couple. She did testify to seeing some injuries and whatnot on Amber's face in other instances. But let's take a listen to a little bit of that cross, Vinny.
Ms. Enriquez, you claim to have seen signs of injuries on your sister during the course of her relationship with Mr. Depp, right?
Yes.
But you never witnessed any incidents that resulted in visible injuries to your sister, right?
Other than the staircase incident? I witnessed that incident. What are you asking me exactly?
You never witnessed any incidents that resulted in signs of injury that you were concerned about over the course of their relationship?
Other than the staircase incident, I did witness that.
No, at no other time when you...
No, that was the only time that I saw him.
Inside the courtroom, this was the only live witness today, Vinny, so that perked up the jury. They paid attention. They were glued into her version of the story. They were shown photos of the aftermath that we've already shown our Court TV viewers of Depp allegedly destroying Amber Heard's closet after this event. And also, we have to keep in mind that when this happened, Whitney Heard's story is that Depp, grabbed her with one hand and hit Amber Heard with another hand, and he had a cast at this time on his right hand because his middle finger was severed during the weeks previous in Australia, and that's been a point that Depp's team has brought up, the fact that could he really grab and beat someone with both hands with a cast on type of thing. And so that was also, again, before this jury, and overall, probably the strongest witness of the day because it was in person.
But that's fascinating, because that's when he's got the severed finger with the cast, and this is interesting. So let me ask you, has anyone else, so we've heard Amber, Johnny, and now Whitney, anyone else that was there see things the way that Amber and Whitney saw things on that staircase?
No, we've heard from McGivern, Travis McGivern, the bodyguard, that was a witness, and Debbie Lloyd, the nurse, has also been before this jury, and her deposition played, and they both gave different accounts. It seemed as though they weren't there in the moments leading up to it. Debbie Lloyd didn't talk about personally seeing the fight. I believe she was more of the aftermath. She denied being hit with the Red Bull can. And then Travis McGivern memorably testified that actually he helped break up the fight, not really Whitney's sister, and that he testified that he was actually between the couple when Amber punched Johnny. So a lot of conflicting stories here. Who knows what the jury will make of it?
More chaos. Now, and just to remind us, this fight was started or happened after she accused him of cheating, right? That's the whole basis of this, is that she's angry at him because she finds he's sleeping and finds an old text message to an ex.
That's right. Finds some photos and text messages from, we'll call her an ex, but they were apparently still hooking up even after he was married to Amber Heard. She found out that the day after they were married, he was over at this other woman's house who he'd been in a sexual relationship for a while, according to Amber Heard's testimony. And that drew her into a rage, as you can imagine, and according to testimony, she didn't care what happened to her. She was going to confront her husband. She had to, is what her testimony was.
Okay, so I'm just wondering why Johnny's going after her if she's the one that's mad, but that's an argument that we may hear. Okay, Amber Heard's makeup artist testified today. What did she have to say?
Yeah, this was a strong witness for Amber Heard, another video deposition before the jury, someone who worked with Amber Heard for many years as her makeup artist, and she specifically talked about the aftermath of the December 2015 incident between Amber and Johnny. She didn't witness that incident, but she testified that she had to help cover up some injuries, those two black eyes and that busted lip that allegedly Amber Heard sustained with that fight between her and Johnny. Let's take a listen to how she told the jury she covered up those injuries.
Ms. Iglesias, could you please describe what you did by way of makeup to prepare Amber Heard for the James Corden show on December 16, 2015?
Yes, we covered, I just did makeup, but just a little heavier with knitted. So we covered, the discoloration or the bruises with a little slightly heavier concealer, one that has a little more of a peach undertone, which I would normally don't use on Amber, but peach do cancel blue. So I did that under the eyes, and although Amber always, has a red lip, is one of the signature look, I remember clearly talking that we had no other option that night but then to use a red blood, like a really red lipstick to, make sure we could cover up the injuries on the lip.
And were you able to cover all of the injuries with the makeup that you applied and as you just described?
Yes.
And then here's some video. We've shown our viewers this before. The jury has seen this video of Amber's appearance on The Late Late Show with James Corden, where she has that dark red lipstick on Vinny, and according to the makeup artist, some darker, heavier concealer to cover the two black eyes, where, again, Amber Heard alleges that Johnny Depp headbutted her during an intense argument and then pounded, away at her, and it broke the bed. He was beating her so badly just the night before this appearance on television.
Powerful, powerful testimony. A lot for this jury to think about. Chanley Painter in Fairfax County. We're going to talk to you in just a little bit. Let's bring in a special guest in Alexandria, Virginia. New York Times bestselling author of the book, You Can't Lie to Me, retired ATF investigator, world-renowned body language expert, Janine Driver, who was inside the courtroom today. I saw you in your pink shawl. We all spotted you here at Court TV. So let's talk about Whitney, if we can, and the story about what happened on the staircase. What did you think of that testimony? What did you think of her demeanor, the way she told it?
I think it's a disconnect, Vinny, and I wouldn't be surprised if you picked up on this, because we've talked a lot about these illustrators. That illustrator helps us tell the story. We relive the story with this. I broke my clavicle bone when I was in college. I'm never going to point to my left side of my clavicle. I'm going to point to my right. That's the one that broke. doing a trust fall. A guy fell, lost his balance, and karate chopped my clavicle. Why do I tell you the story? Because when we see Amber's sister on the stand, Whitney, she talks first about Amber punching Johnny, and she shows Amber's right hand punching Johnny, and then seconds later she goes, Amber punched Johnny, and shows the left hand. So we have a disconnect. Well, which is it? And then it leads me to believe, well, wait a minute, was Johnny the one that was doing the punching? I don't know. It's a disconnect with her story here. And there are moments like right here that you're showing that it seemed like she was almost holding her breath. And we see this a lot in law enforcement when someone's holding something back. We literally tell them to breathe. When someone's forgetting to breathe and they hold their breath, because we saw a lot of stiffness here, especially in the left shoulder while telling this story, and along with other parts of testimony. This is like they don't want you to see their nervous breathing. So they literally will stop. They'll hold their breath, and this is often a sign that someone's holding something back.